Hello and welcome to We Are Human. I'm Andrea and this is my partner in crime, Susan. And we are honored to have a very special guest with us today, Laurence Santer. Now, let me give a little bio and background about Laurence. So, Laurence is the Chief Marketing Officer and Operations Officer for Heidi Sawyer. Heidi Sawyer is a world-renowned Hay House author and guest. She's served over 80,000 people who she calls intuitive sensitives. And she's been in business for 30 years. And Laurence has been there every step of the way, making sure that Heidi and her amazing meditations and guidance and coaching is accessible to as many intuitive sensitives or people who are just ready to trust their intuition as she possibly can. But you might be asking just that alone, right? Like, why the heck are we inviting Laurence onto We Are Human? So he is also a client, and I get to work with Laurence every single day, for better or worse. We get to work together every day. And Laurence was a client of ours who he was the first of all of our clients, the first like mass rapid adopter of AI. And he uses it in his business every day. Now, that alone is not the most interesting part, aside from his mass adoption, and he has so much insight on AI. But I think the most interesting part and the conversation I'm really looking forward to having with you today, Laurence, is he has to leverage AI, but what comes out has to be so deeply human because of the nature of who he is talking to and who him and Heidi are serving. And so that's what I'm really excited to talk to you about is just that intersection. I could not think of a better guest that just sits at that intersection every single day, multiple hours a day. So welcome, Laurence. I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you. What a wonderful intro. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so let's start off just with a general question. And that is, so you do a lot of work with marketing and trying to get this beautiful message of your services and support out there to the world. And oftentimes on our calls, you'll come in and be like, I've just sat down and I've spent several hours with AI or with Claude or whatever you're using. And we've had a really great conversation, or they just will not do what I want them to do, but you are treating it as a co-creator. So I'm curious, just kind of talk us through a little bit of just your journey on that front and how interwoven is it into your day now?
Well, I definitely talk to you every day, but I talk to AI more than even you.
Which is amazing.
It is my thinking partner. And it's because we talk, as you said, with intuitive sensitive. So the audience that we serve and are privileged to serve are some of the nicest people you will ever meet. Their greatest skill is the ability to see through what isn't real. And so I think I was in the car with two boys, my son, so two of his friends the other day, and they were talking about this meme or something that had happened. And my son had said, "Oh, it wasn't real." And he asked his teacher to look it up, and the teacher discovered that actually it wasn't real, but the other two boys had believed it. And what was fascinating is they said, "You can't believe what you see on the internet these days." They are 13, 14 years old. They are saying that.
Yeah.
So our clients, our intuitive sensitives, have had that all their lives. They've had the ability to see if somebody is being true, if somebody is being false. So there's this incredible responsibility to be true all the time and to give them exactly what they need. And you can only do that by caring about them and listening to them.
So well said. So I'm curious because I can imagine your co-creation periods with your AI tool, right? And trying to say, care more, or like, how does that work? How do you bring that beautiful humanity into that engagement?
I had to train it, and I've noticed that through the new models, it has got better, and I have to give it a huge amount of context, and I'm always having conversations that end because I've already filled it up. I don't know if that's common for a lot of people, but I'm always ending it, and I get really annoyed because I have to start another. But it's fascinating because this is a concept that we have in our business, which is this repotting idea. So once you get to full capacity, you can then repot. And I think humans do the same. I think we have this potential to grow to the extent of the container that we're in. So we then have to repot to a larger and new container, which is a fantastic analogy for us as humans growing, but also for the AI models, because what they've given us is this larger container. And I'm now finding that I'm filling these containers as well by giving it context, giving it focus. I can get it to do what I want. And I know, because I've got the North Star in my own mind as to who I'm serving, if it's gone off track, and I will tell it. I give it quite a hard time. I go, no, you're going off track. I want you back on here. We seem to have deviated from and it goes, oh, I'm terribly sorry. You're quite right. Do you remember I told you this? Oh, yeah, sorry. And because Heidi's written a book and because we've got so much content, I can feed it Heidi's voice. I can give it Heidi's clients that she's working with. So it knows the type of person that I'm speaking with. And then I can give it feedback and I can tell if it's been successful with a campaign that landed or it didn't land. And then I can give it and it iterates. So it does learn over time who I'm trying to work with. But I'm always the person who makes the decision about whether it's on target, off target, whether it's lost its train of thought or if it needs to come back. And that is so critical. It's being respectful of the audience. It's being respectful of the human that we're trying to serve, and always keeping that person at the heart of what I'm trying to achieve. Is this doing good in the world? Is this doing good for this person that I'm trying to serve? If yes, carry on. If no, then we need to stop and recalibrate. That's the focus. So we are in charge as the human. We are the most important part, and that is the seed. Even if it's just, a grain of sand on the beach, it sets the tone for the rest of the sand.
Yeah. Yeah, go ahead, Susan. Yeah.
I had two thoughts. So one, just like there's something in there that you said, Laurence, that when people are first coming into AI, and we have to remember, like to us, we've been using it for a couple of years now. I think it feels that long. I think it's been that long. But what's the percentage? It's such a small percentage of the world actually has even used any AI, whatever. Obviously, it's more now because it's rolled out on Google and like these very commonly used tools. But you said something of that you have your North Star. You know when it's going off track. And that is such a key thing. I think people run into trouble when they don't know and they're relying on AI to be the North Star, and they're relying on AI to be super correct and doing all the heavy lifting. It's like, you got to go know this stuff and then use it as the tool. The second thing that you said is that you use it as your thought partner. Now, before ChatGPT blew up and before Andrea and I became business partners, I literally paid somebody a lot of money to just be my thought partner because that's what I needed. I was like, I just need someone to bounce ideas off of and for them to give me feedback or give me a different perspective on the ideas. And when you said, I think we all, now that we're all in this era of AI, I think we are all now using AI as a thought partner in many aspects of our lives. But is there anything in your life, Laurence, that you don't use AI for? Or at which point do you have to leave the AI thought partner and go to a human thought partner?
Such a good question.
I have this idea of the upstream and downstream. So if downstream is the client that I've been talking to you about, and that's where we publish, we press publish, we get feedback, and we reiterate. If that's downstream, upstream is all of the thinking. So, the chair that you're sat on right now, when did it become a chair? Did it become a chair when it rolled off the production line, or when it was a thought in the eye and the mind of the person who created it? Well, my view is it's right there. It's right at the beginning. And I think as a thought partner, you have to go through and as far upstream as you could possibly go and allow all of those thoughts and all of those different angles or directions you could take it. And then you can come down. And I have this wonderful relationship with Andrea where I have to go through this iteration up here because before AI, I drove Heidi absolutely mad because I would just be going, and then 2 minutes later, I've gone, oh, no, we're not doing that anymore. She goes, well, I've just done, no, we're not doing that. We're doing this now. And it drove her mad. Whereas with AI, I can just do all of these different things. And the great thing I found with it is that you can get it to do simulations. So you can say, right, take 1,000 people and put them through my process to give me a simulation, give me the feedback. And I go, oh, Oh, no, that's not what I want. Okay, let's go again. And I go back up. And then eventually I get it to a point where I've narrowed it enough to get to Andrea. And then I have to, spew all of this ideas at Andrea. And then she goes, okay, hang on, let me see all together what you're saying. And the other two on the call, Heidi and Mark, they're just sat there going, what are those two talking about? But she does such a fantastic job of taking all of this that I've thought about, let's say 1,000 things down to 20 things. And then she gives me those 20 things into two, and then one, we can split test A against B and we go live. It's just sped up our process so much more. It's brilliant. So the human is Andrea, and it's that point.
Well, and it's such a treat too. I mean, it's this rich, fertile soil that you've given in those conversations. It's just, it definitely has significantly enhanced our ability to really get into some really meaty, good coffee.
Yeah. But it's the fun stuff, and it's the meaningful stuff, and it's the deep stuff. And I would far rather have an incredible relationship with 1,000 people than a loose, light relationship with 10,000 or 100,000 or even 1 million, because it's where the depth of connection that actually, I think all the parts of the brain that just stimulate, I think that's where meaning comes from. That's where joy comes from. That's where happiness comes from, when two minds join. And to have the depth of a conversation is so much more valuable than having a light thing. We know that through friendships. The people that we have the greatest relationships with are the people we know the most about, and we have the depth of conversation. But it's not just I know them a lot, but I've had a deep and meaningful, interesting conversation where you've pulled and you've stretched each other and you've molded that relationship further, and then you come away going, I feel really not depleted because they were draining, but invigorated, and I'm now going to go off and do something really exciting. Those are the kinds of relationships that we have. And when you're running a business, you have this opportunity to meet people from around the world. And what technology's job is to make those relationships possible. That is how I see technology. It is to make those relationships possible, whether they're over Zoom or face to face. That is its point. Everything else technology does is pointless. It's that 1% left. That is the bit that is being human. That's why I think that the future, yes, at the moment we have, I don't know, a blender. We don't call it an electricity blender. We call it a blender because it's obviously has got electricity. And that will be the same with AI. Currently, it's all about AI this, AI enabled this and the other. But it won't be. It'll just be, well, obviously. But that leaves us with the most important part, which is the human part. And that's where these two souls are meeting and having connection. That is the point of technology. Technology's job is to allow humans to connect.
Oh, so true. Yes, so true. Now, what's interesting is how deeply interwoven will the technology be able to be in that conversation? Give you an example. I was having a difficult conversation with someone who we think very differently, and we are friends, and we just couldn't figure it out. And so we actually we made a bot for each other, right? And we gave each other bots. And I'm like, I'm trying to say this. And the bot translated it, and I sent that via text.
Wow.
And he was like, that's exactly what I'm saying. And I was like, okay, this is weird. This is so weird. But it was amazing in terms of I just said it. It just said it the way you needed to hear it, right? But it's exactly what I was saying. So it was, So how
it's like a translator.
Yes.
I wonder, Susan, if we could get one of those for teenagers.
Really smart idea. I was also thinking, Andrea, why haven't you brought this idea to us? We need this translator.
True. Yes, it's true.
At least you do. You both see things differently. Your perception of the world is very different.
And the funny thing is that often, especially lately, I'm like, Andrea, I think we're saying the same thing. We're just not saying the same thing.
Yes.
And so it's so true. But yes, the teenager idea.
You do need that in a business, though, because Heidi and I have got that. You can't have the two people pushing in the same direction. You've got to have the balance, and you need the yin and the yang. Otherwise, the energy doesn't work. And that I think is the way that business should be. You need to have, an operator and a visionary or something. And you have the two aspects. I think you need to have both. But the joy of AI is it allows you to be both. You can take the role depending on what you need at that time, because sometimes you have to be the operator and sometimes you have to be the visionary, but it can stimulate both. And I think that's a really good use of AI.
Yeah. So true. So true. Okay. Here's my doozy question.
Okay. So you
We
primed this and you didn't tell me what this was at the
did. Yes,
beginning.
I did. I
So
primed
this is the
myself.
one.
Yes. So,
I'm going to take
okay.
some drinking water for this. Hang
Yes,
on.
yes, definitely. Take some drinks of water. Okay. And I'm so excited about this question for you specifically because, all right. So, Susan and I have a mentor, and he is very much a technology evangelist. When AI came out, I mean, he literally shut down his business for like 2 weeks to try to wrap his head around what does this mean? What does this
Mm.
AI revolution mean for business, for me, for how I serve, for do I change everything? Like, he was ready to basically rearrange his entire business based on his contemplation over this 2 week period. So fast forward, I'm sitting in a basement with him and we're having a debate. And I'm like, I just can't back you. I don't think you're
Mm.
right. I don't believe that technology is going to take over the world because it essentially will never be able to do this one fundamental human thing. And I said, what this one human fundamental thing is what you and Heidi deal with 80,000 people plus every single day. And that is the ability to sense, the ability to sense when something is not right, sense when something is right, the ability to sense one another, the
Yeah.
ability to sense when we come into a space or a context, what's needed. It's that innate intuition that is so divinely connected that I don't think will ever be a part of the AI world. And it is what makes us uniquely human. And so I think again, because of where you sit, I mean, you deal in that
Yeah.
innate divine space every day with your people. I would love just to hear your thoughts on that. And yeah.
Well, I think when you walk into a room, you sense the people in the room, the moods, the emotions, and everything.
Hmm.
So if somebody walks into the room and they're unregulated, so that let's say their internal system is all over the place, they're jangled, they're creating chaos in their life, everything they touch seems to just turn into some big drama, those
Hmm.
people are unregulated. The
Hmm.
same is true for a completely regulated person. When you walk into a room, you can sense it. We all understand the idea of somebody who is in chaos or in calm. We
Hmm.
understand that. So if, let's say, for example, you've got a dog, you can buy these robotic dogs, and it is supposed to be like a dog. But
Hmm.
I can guarantee it's not like my two. It doesn't
Right.
have that same bond, that same connection, that same look in its eye. As much
Yeah.
as it can be programmed to be, it just cannot do it. I don't
Yeah.
believe it can. So
Hmm.
I think it's absolutely critical that the human part is the most important part, and that will be the bit that's left. And I think
Hmm.
where we've lost sight of how important it is to be human is over the last however many years, where we've said to people like the people we serve as sensitives, that is
Hmm.
not a quality that we see as an asset.
Hmm.
And as a result, our community has always been considered less than.
Hmm.
And that is completely the opposite of what the future will be. The future will be to those who have empathy, understanding, intuition, compassion, and then they will find more meaning, and they will be recognized as people who have found meaning and have joy in their life. And no matter what happens around them, because whatever happens around them will happen,
Hmm.
but they will be able to be steady, centered, and find joy. No matter what happens, they will have the wherewithal and the confidence that they will be able to cope, that they will be
Hmm.
fine, they will find their way through. And that is the kind of person who others will gravitate towards. They will
Hmm.
recognize, they will need that centering energy. Like I said,
Hmm.
walk into a room, you know somebody who's that. You need those. And in nature, they have them in ecology, they have them in the forest. They have what's called a mother tree. And that mother
Oh.
tree holds all of the other trees. It
Mhm.
is understanding. I mean, I've just got hairs raising on my arm as I talk about
Yes.
it. It's that depth that they are able to hold the whole forest. And there are certain mother trees throughout the forest, and they are all connected and interconnected. And I believe that that person exists in humanity as well, in humans. And I
Mhm.
believe
Yeah.
that they're called the emotional matriarch.
Mhm. Yes. And I love this concept of the emotional matriarch. You have another one of that intuitive advantage, that an emotional
Yeah.
matriarch would have the most intuitive advantage. And I think I tend to be a little bit rosy colored glasses and optimistic about the future, but I agree with you in that I feel like I love the way AI is going, but I think it'll only ask us to be more human, to
Be
be
more human, definitely.
yeah, more intuition, because that is how we balance it, you know? The greater the power the AI has, the greater the power the human needs, and our power is in that intuition and, that intuitive advantage. Yeah.
Yeah, totally
Yeah.
Well,
agree.
it's even
And if we only have a certain percent of our mind, our brains being utilized,
Yeah.
there's thought that in the past we had more use. And the part
Mhm.
that's been suppressed is the intuitive part. So
Yeah.
what if the part that's going to come back is the more intuitive aspect? That's a great place to be.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
We could always do with some more intuition.
So true.
yeah.
So well said. Yeah. Go ahead, Susan. What were you gonna say?
I had the thought that even with there's more and more AI created media out there, and
Yeah.
what we were talking about earlier of
Mm.
the the teenagers having to say like you can't you can't trust this if it's
Yeah.
on the internet, it's could be AI. My kids do the same thing. I actually okay, two things. For some reason, my family last night was talking about blue whales, and I pulled up pictures on Google. To my youngest is 7.5, and I was just pulling up pictures so that we could look at a picture of a blue whale while we're talking about blue whales. And he's looking at these photos, and they are very vibrant. I think they were very professionally taken, and he's looking at it, and he's like, "I think that's AI." Like, what do you mean? Why is it AI? And I think it's just because it looked too good. It looked
Um,
too perfect. But I bring this up because I think that more of AI created media out there is also forcing us humans to be more discerning and digging, like using our intuition when it comes to discerning, like, is this real or is this not real? And it's just going to keep
yeah.
getting worse as AI keeps getting better. And I find myself when I'm scrolling through my reels or whatever, there's so many AI created things out there that are spoofing people into thinking it's a real thing. I'm stopping when it's a sensational thing that's happening, and it's something that's like, if this is real, this is big. If it's not real, then someone's just messing with the population. I'm having to spend more time dissecting it and looking at it closer, looking for everything that I can to prove that it's not real, that it is AI. So I'm finding myself diving more into what would make this seem real? How would a human in this thing be reacting? Is that even on par with how a human would be reacting in this situation like this? And so it's just so fascinating what the world is going through.
I've
And
got an interesting view on
yeah,
that, if I may, which is when we started working together, which must have been a year or two ago, probably 2 years now, nearly,
Mhm.
and you were keen to understand why I said we needed to work together and why I'm going all in on AI and what we're doing with the business. And it's because of that very thing, which is that you can't believe what you see.
Mhm.
But if there is somebody that you trust and it's a human connection and ideally one that you've met in person, because you can create, fake webinars and all the rest of it, but actually having somebody who's live and interaction, whether it's live like we are now or whether it's live, in a physical sense of the word, that's somebody you've trusted. You've trusted enough to buy their program. They have given you a username and a password. You are now entering Disneyland for intuitive sensitive people. And
Mhm.
the door's closed behind, and this is a safe space. So
Mhm.
that's why I asked you to create our membership site, because
Mhm.
I knew that that was the direction things were going. And by the
Mhm.
time people listen to this, it may be that things have already happened, whereby you need to have your own space, your own safe space. And I think that's
Mhm.
so important. We need that safe space in every area of our life, but more so if you're going to join a community, you need to make sure that it's a safe space. And
Mhm.
as the business owner, we have a responsibility, or I have a responsibility to make sure that there's a strong filtering system on the gate. So,
Mhm.
like I said to you before, I'd far rather have 1,000 true fans than 100,000 people who are just interested in a topic. And I don't
Yeah.
want anyone coming through that gate that doesn't resonate with the people who are in there, because
Yeah.
I'm very protective of that community, that audience, those people that we're
Yeah.
attracting, that we work with, because we know with the right person, we can help create a transformation in their internal world, and they'll feel very, very different after working with us. In fact, we did a survey, and you proved that with your. So Andrea is a
Mhm.
phenomenal behavioral psychologist. She looks at spreadsheets. We did a massive survey, and we got thousands of data points, and she's running these spreadsheet thing, and she's going, "Oh, let me just do this pivot on this pivot." I'm going, "Oh my God, what is she doing?" And then she says, "Oh yes, it tells us with absolute certainty that the people who have been working with you and have paid for your programs are something percentage more likely to be hopeful for the year ahead." Wow! First of all, incredible that that's the case, but how on earth did you work that out? So you did all these pivot things. It was just incredible talent. But
Well,
we
and I mean,
proved
I think
it,
it's a
didn't we? We
testament
proved
though.
it.
I think it's a testament to what you guys are doing though, in that feeling of hopefulness that emerged from the data, which was just yeah, it was a really cool finding. And okay, so on that note, it's interesting to bring it up because Susan, on that, so as we're looking at the data, the people who we were basically like, how do you predict 2026? Like, what's your prediction for
Mm.
2026? And we did find that the people who had been working with Heidi and Lawrence were, I think, like 30% more likely to think that the future was hopeful versus bleak. Um, and I'm thinking about that more, Lawrence, in terms of again, this concept of the feeling of hopefulness, right? AI can articulate hopefulness, it can promote hopefulness, it can talk about hopefulness, right? But it doesn't actually inherently know the feeling of hopefulness.
No,
And I would say that the feeling of hopefulness that emerged was because of all of this work, that part of the beauty of what you guys do, and again, this is like to me so innately human, is it's not overt. It's go do a meditation and allow your subconscious to regulate itself or allow those things to emerge. And so I'm so curious, do you ever see an ability or a future where a human could be interacting with an AI agent and get that same subconscious effect?
I don't. Honestly, I don't. I
Yeah.
think in the same way you can't create an orange tree from an apple seed, the
Mm,
seed is the essential part, which is what I was saying earlier about
mm,
that 1% connection. The grain of sand that has to be human, that is required. I think without
mhm,
that, you're going to have something. Now, it may potentially be so good that it can trick the vast majority,
mhm,
but the few it can't trick and it won't trick. And those are the
mhm,
people who are awake, those are the people who are alert, and those are the people who are making a difference. And I
mhm.
think those are the mother trees. I think these are the people in society who recognize the importance of real.
Yeah, I love that. You know what? I have this like really big visual of the matriarch in Elephants,
Mm,
the woman, the female elephant that knows the way,
yep.
in the journey, and everyone looks towards her, and she protects the herd, and it's very feels very like she has all that ancestral knowledge that she shares and uses to guide and protect the herd, and it's yeah, that's what it feels like.
In all herding animals, in fact, this is one of the things that Heidi uses as an analogy to help explain what an intuitive sensitive is. So when the
Mm,
tsunami comes, as you know, the animals knew it
I know.
and
Yeah.
moved earlier. But
Mhm,
in herding animals, that happens as well. So you have, let's say, the gazelle, and then one of the gazelles goes, "I've got this feeling," and it starts moving. And the
mhm,
herd over time notices that this particular gazelle moves, and it goes, "Oh yeah, it was right last time. We better follow." Well, that
mm,
is the 20% of the herd that is looking
mhm,
out for, keeping an eye on, and keeping safe, essentially, from
mhm,
predators, the rest of the herd. That is
mhm,
the role of the intuitive sensitive in our society. They
mhm.
are the early warning signal for what is happening. And I think that's why we're attuned to what we're doing. That's why what the work you're doing with us is to help support that nature, that part of nature. And the service that you provide us with allows us to have that, which is, I think, so important. But it's not just a local business, it's a worldwide business, which is great. That's the point of it.
Yeah. It's that
Technology
concept.
enabling the
Yeah.
human part.
Yeah, so amazing. Okay, so on that note, Susan and I have had this debate, and I think we shared with you where our current stance is. This is me flipping back to the marketing side. So we have made a decision in our business that if it's like super top of funnel, right, like
Mhm.
trying to get all the masses, we will experiment to high heaven with AI lookalikes, AI representation, AI discussion, like AI. Let's experiment, right? Because it's a cold audience, and it's really just trying to get attention, right? But there's a certain point in our customer journey, and that's when they turn into our world and they're actually interested in knowing us deeper, knowing our products, knowing our services, that we have made a business decision that that is where the AI representation stops and
Yeah,
where we as humans show up. I'm curious where you're at in your journey, you and Heidi both.
I would 100% agree with that,
Mm-hmm.
because there is an enormous amount of noise out there. And if you say that there's noise, signal, clarity, action. So if that's the flow, if you've got noise and all you can hear is noise, you can't hear the signal. Now I interpret signal as intuition. If you can't hear your intuition because somebody's tapping you or hitting you or playing loud music or whatever, you can't get to clarity, and then you can't make the right decision to move forward. So you need to have a quiet on the noise. Now,
Mm-hmm.
if that means that there's thousands or millions of people that could be your ideal client who want to come through your gate and into your world, into your Disneyland, for the world that you've created, for the clients that you've created, well, that's what I was saying earlier about the filtration system. You
Mm-hmm.
use technology to filter all those people down to the people that you actually want to work with,
Mm-hmm.
because you can go and find attention in the same way
Mm-hmm.
you could go to Sainsbury's or a Walmart or wherever and get any commodity. Well, traffic is a commodity now. You can go and buy it from the traffic shop.
Yeah.
You can have it come to your front door. But is it the right traffic? Are those people that you would have at a dinner party?
Mm.
Would
Yeah.
you invite them to have dinner? And I, as the person who is responsible for the gate, the threshold guardian, as you
Yes.
could call
You
it,
shall not pass.
you can see me with the front of the staff.
Yep.
I have to protect Heidi's energy. That is my role. I am the gatekeeper to Heidi's energy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so if it's wasted on people who aren't respectful of that, because Heidi's time is worth £10 to one person, £100 to another,
Mhm.
1,000 to another, or 10,000 to another.
Mhm.
And it's the same person, but they have a different idea as to the value of her time and what it means to them.
Mhm.
So I have to find the right people so that they're respectful of the time that they spend with Heidi. And that
Yeah.
is the key word, respect. And so I think in terms of answering your question about the point at which you would say, no, I'm not using technology, is the point at which the person has proven that they are serious enough to want to come into our world.
Mhm.
And I think we
Yeah.
need to have these protective ring fences around the expert, the key person of influence, and also the other members of that community who have made it into that community. Because if you can't respect and you don't respect that community, it's a bit like having a badly behaved child. It will cause problems,
Yeah.
and it will drain resources, and it will drain time and energy, and nobody wants that. We want to have an uplifting experience for the people.
Yeah.
Well
You
said.
know what I love about what you just said, Lawrence? I'm noticing it in myself. So I tend to have poor boundaries and make myself way too accessible, available, helpful before the customer or the person on the receiving end has given the best possible signal for the equal matched energy that I give. And so what I love in what you just said, and it almost is like, Susan, we should revisit this conversation, is that, maybe it's not when they just turn into the world, maybe it's a little bit deeper of when they are serious about the investment in that time and a serious potential partner in the relationship, and not just a taker or a I'm just exploring or a hobbyist or whatever that may be. It's interesting.
Yeah.
It's almost like what you're essentially saying is like, at what point do they get the human?
Yeah.
The human is, the avatar and the AI and the tech is my bouncer. You know what I mean? And it's you have to make your way through that moat, before you actually get the human.
And it
Because the
used to
human is
be
what we want and need and pay for. Yeah.
it used to be money. You'd have to get your credit card out and spend money.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
think the free line, they call it, has moved, hasn't it? So everything is
Yeah.
moving closer and closer, and we're giving away stuff that we used to charge for. And I legitimately am doing that. We are giving away content that we used to charge for. It has got further down. So clearly access to the expert is going to be really valuable. Like we said earlier, the live part is even going to be more valuable
Yeah.
because those live interactive experiences are going to be what people want. And I think high ticket people pay for experiences. So people who are going to come through that gate are going to want an experience. Well, the experience is everything. Is the key person of influence well resourced, well rested, inspired, uplifting, hopeful, and is the community that they've created reflective of that? Because they will be. They will be a direct reflection of that person. In which case, come on in. But these are the rules. These are the boundaries that we follow. And you have to. I think we have to follow that integrity, and it comes down to integrity.
Yeah.
So
So
not
true.
having boundaries is actually being rude to the people who have already signed up to that level of integrity.
Yeah. That's well said. Yeah, that's well said.
And that's where it comes back to that. I'd far rather have 1,000 people who I would go to dinner with than 100,000 people who I have no relationship with. We used to call it, what was it, Facebook friends. Are they friends or are they Facebook friends?
Yeah.
Are they, are they
I think that's the
customers
thing.
or are they people that you would go to dinner with? It's not just about the money. It's not just about, and I think if we all need to obviously keep the wheels moving, keep the business rolling. But whenever there's stress, I've always found that whenever there's been stress in my body, or if I've ever stressed about a launch or stressed about, spending money on advertising or doing something that makes the business, investing in you guys, because there's a big investment and then you think, but I'm not going to see a return for a long time. How does that happen? Maybe do a stage release? So there's an investment. You've got to take a risk. Anytime I've been worried about that and I've had sleepless nights is because I'm out of alignment. If I have got the person in my mind that I want to work with, which is this North Star that we talked about right at the beginning, and the AI is aware of this North Star, I will not have a worry. I am confident that it will pay out. It will work out because the focus is not on the money. The focus is on the person. It's the focus on the individual. That comes first. The money comes second. And if you land successfully for that person, they will hand you money. I've had people who are signing up to work with Heidi who have called me and said, I need to give you my money. And I'm going, oh, yes. Okay. Sorry. I haven't given you the wire transfer details. I'm really sorry. I've just got, and they go, no, I need to give you the money.
Yeah. That's awesome.
That's the relationship. That's the relationship that we want to create. So when you start from that, if that's your grain of sand on the beach, if you start with that purity, the beach will echo, it will mirror that energy. And that's something that we believe. And I know not everybody believes about energy, but everyone knows when you walk into a room, the mood. Well, that's energy. You're reading the energy of the room. So whatever you give out is what you get back. So stop worrying about the money, focus on the people, and have that North Star for your AI or for your launch or for your program or whatever you're doing, as long as you keep the person at the center. And that is the human part. That is the bit that cannot be replaced. The dog, the fake dog and the real dog, you can't replace it.
Yes. Yeah. And I think that when you talk about being the human up front, it's not the demographics, it's not the psychographics,
No.
it's not, it's you visualize and can feel and sense that person.
Yes. Yeah. It's not a name. It's not a sex. It's not a age. It's nothing like that. It's a feeling.
Yeah.
And it's what is the feeling that we're trying to elicit?
Yeah.
What is the requirement? And I think we're going to find that, we spent the last 20 years, and Heidi's been in business now 30 years, and I've worked with her for more than 20 years. And it was very focused on the past and clearing the past and healing the traumas and clearing out all of that stuff. Well, the way the world is moving and the speed with which we're moving now, I'm not sure there's time for clearing out the past. I think we're just going to have to do wholesale, right, that's gone. We need a blank slate. We need a clean slate. We need to move forward. We have to move our consciousness up a gear. We need to not wallow in that. And I mean, I've been part of trauma. I've witnessed trauma. We've dealt with a lot of trauma. And there are people who have had some really difficult times. But I think in terms of consciousness, we can either allow that to pull us down like an anchor, or we can say we have to move forward. And I think AI and technology and automation, etc., is going to speed up the rate of change. If we think the last 25 years has been fast, we don't know anything relative to what's coming. It is going to be, the dial has just gone cranked right up. We don't have time to indulge. We have to raise ourselves. And that means doing the work, doing the internal work. Because if we truly believe that our external reality is a reflection of our internal reality, and therefore the relationship that we have with our clients is a reflection of ourselves. If we don't love ourselves, how are we going to love our clients? We have to love ourselves enough to love our clients. And then when you do love yourself enough, I'm not talking about egotistically, love,
No,
love. Look how wonderful I am. It's when I have self-love, when I respect myself, boundaries don't become an issue. Stress is less. I'm authentic. I'm congruent. I'm aligned with my dreams, my goals, my purpose. The people who resonate at the same vibration, like two magnets, will start to gravitate towards me. And then the future will just unroll because you are staying true to that magnetism, and those people will just be gravitated towards you. And your world that you've created for us is that gate. All people like you are in here. Come on in. That's the joy of what you've created. This is safe space from the internet that you can't trust. We've created this world for people like you. Come on in. Can you imagine how amazing that's going to be for people? It literally is.
It already is.
2017, I wrote on a board, Disneyland for intuitive sensitives. That is the dream. That's what I've been pushing for nearly 10 years. This is the 10th year I've been pushing for that.
Yeah. Yes. And I mean, you've built it. I mean, you have a really solid group of people, and it continues to grow, which is exciting. Yeah. Okay. I know we're getting close on time. There's one other little twist here that I think is unique because of how you teach the people that work with you. And Ollie is very interested in this conversation as well. Okay. So dreaded, everybody hates it, customer support tickets. There is no better trigger for a human than a relationship with someone else or technology, right? And then, or like if you're still in school, maybe math, but however you guys say it, maths. Yes. So these are triggers, right? For a lot of people to react in really funny ways. So we oftentimes see it in the support inbox, of like anger, frustration, or demanding a refund because they've been wronged in some way by the technology not doing what they are expecting it to do. And then I think what happens in turn is they beat themselves up but they don't want to stay in that uncomfortable space very long. So then that gets passed on to you as the creator of this technology that has now just basically assaulted them, right? And so they are indignant in their, they're righteous in their indignation. Anyway, so they send these support tickets in. Okay, this is a common thing. We're not going to solve this overnight. This is a typical support experience. But there's something that happens in your world specifically that I think is really unique. And that is, and I can even, because I've been in the tickets this past week a lot, and that is the intuitive sensitives that you're working with are actually almost, I'm not going to go as far as grateful, but almost like I'm grateful that I get this opportunity to see my own triggered experience because of what you have created. No, please fix it. Like, do that. But the way that they approach the support tickets is not righteous indignation or just, yes, they are upset, but it is not, you have wronged me. It is, they take a lot of responsibility for their reaction to the technology not doing what they expect it to do. And it's just this. So a lot of times when I'm looking at the support tickets, they turn into this rich conversation that there is so much more happening there in terms of personal growth and development than addressing a tech issue. And I don't, I'm just experiencing that, but I feel like this is something, going to your Disneyland for intuitive sensitives, this is a cultural norm that feels like it's baked into, this is how we expect you to interact with us from a customer support ticket. Can you speak to that, of like, when did that start? How did you do that?
It's been very deliberate. Heidi's got incredible gifts, and whatever she can turn her attention to is what gets resolved. And one of the biggest challenges with a lot of people has been, in the past, narcissistic behavior.
Mm-hmm.
And at one time, I saw an opportunity. I saw that this narcissistic behavior was hot topic. So I steered the ship towards that island, and I went, this is a lush green island. Let's go over here. There's loads of people. There's lots of need. There's lots of pain, and let's go and help them solve that problem.
Mm.
What happened was there were a lot of people who had been hurt by narcissists, and they were carrying very sore wounds. And so at every opportunity where you weren't perfect, they would do as you said, which is attack. And they had no self-love. They had no training up to that point, and it was very painful. And we had this incredible member of staff who's not with us anymore, Yvonne. She has been with us for years. Our children grew up together. And we met at a barbecue, and she said, "Oh, I'm going to start working for you on Monday." I went, "Really? What? How's that happening?" She went, "Oh, I just spoken to Heidi." I turned to Heidi and went, when after she'd gone, and what's happening there? She went, "I don't know." She needs a job. You need some support. She's working with us on Monday. I was like, okay, great. Anyway, she's this incredible woman, absolutely amazing. She's one of our best friends still today. And she said to me, "I cannot cope with these people. I cannot continue to do this. So either we stop working with these people or I leave." And for me, that was just the worst thing ever, losing somebody, because I can find more customers, but I can't find someone like her. She was just the heartbeat of the support system, the community that we'd created. People loved her. They respected her. She organized all of Heidi's calendar, and Heidi's calendar is a nightmare. And I touched it once and made a mistake, and she just grilled me. It's a real challenge, but you have these people in your life who are so integral to your life. So we had to make a decision. Who do we want to work with? Who is it that's important? Is it the people that we're creating? And as a result of, the sand on the beach, that grain of sand creates the business. We stopped focusing on people who had the narcissistic wound, who were dealing with that. Although we could have built a very successful multi-7-figure business out of it, we didn't want to. That wasn't the energy of the people that we wanted to work with. So then Heidi's got this idea of the absorber and the observer. So the absorber is the person who absorbs life. The observer is the person who observes it. Now, imagine you're an owl in a tree and you're walking through the forest and you come across another person. Well, the absorber notices what's going on face to face and gets cross or angry. This is my path. You go round me, whatever. The observer is the owl in the tree who's noticing the role that you're involved in. So they can separate themselves from the situation and they can see, well, you're actually contributing to this. And so that's, I think, what you were describing in the inbox, which is that they're able to not disassociate in a negative way, but they actually separate themselves and observe their own interaction and behavior and go, that's really helpful. And life is giving us lessons all the time, whether we listen to them or not.
So true.
And our business and owning a business is the greatest self-development, spiritual development journey you can ever go on.
Yes, it is.
About yourself.
Exactly.
Learn out about yourself.
So true. So true. Yes. No greater test. Yeah, for sure. That's so interesting. So it was moving to a different person, but also setting that tone of the observer and allow technology to be a situation in which you can step into the observer role. That's so
You have
smart.
to choose.
Yeah.
You choose who you attract deliberately, and you become. You attract who you become and who you are.
Yeah.
So if you
true.
don't like the people that you're interacting with, then change the internal world. Work on yourself, and you'll find happiness through it reflected back to you.
Yeah.
And
so
a
true.
business, and our business specifically, this teaching business is such a fun place to be. If you're selling widgets or something, I'm sure it's something different, but we get to see a transformation. We get to have a before and an after. We get to, I do this with Heidi's clients. She does the initial conversation just to see if it's a good match. And if she really wants to work with them, if she likes them, she'll work with them. And then they come to me and I tell them all about the program. So they've already agreed to buy. And then I tell them what they get. So, which is quite an odd way of doing it. But anyway,
It's awesome.
I see them on, they'll be right at the beginning. And then I see them halfway at this sort of check-in. We have this scheduled check-in. They've had 3 sessions with Heidi. So this is now 6 weeks later. And I am visibly able to see from where they were to where they are now. Visually see the shift. And that's 3 sessions she's had with them. So I have this joy of being able to see the before and the after. But it's such a short period of time because the relief, they've let things go, they've allowed to move on, and they've visibly changed. We had a lady she was going for 32 Botox injections to help reduce her headaches. She had a session with Heidi and she didn't need to go. She's had 1 migraine since.
Amazing. It's amazing. Yeah. It's amazing. And it's all just that innately human working with your subconscious patterns and releasing those. Yeah.
Well, it's trusting. It's about trust. I think it's about trust. It all comes down to trust.
Trusting yourself, trusting your intuition. Is that what you're meaning when you say that? Yeah.
Yeah. We build up these, do I trust it? Like Susan said about, the children, and what I said about the children, they're being taught, or they're learning. Because when we were younger, you believed what you were told.
Yeah.
Because that's what an adult told you. An adult told you this, that you believed it.
Yeah.
We didn't have Google to go and check, or AI to go and check on it.
Yeah.
Whereas today, they don't believe anything they hear. They have to go and check it for themselves.
Can you
go on?
Go ahead. No, I was gonna say, can you, on that note, I'm like, wouldn't it be amazing if there's this evolution happening or like in Susan's blue whale example, or the kids that you were talking about of I don't trust it. Wouldn't it be amazing if there was this evolution though in our ability to recognize and sense and know, human, non-human, or, AI generated, not AI generated? I wonder if there is this evolution invitation in that. It's
But
interesting.
that's kind of what I was saying. I don't know that I would use the word evolution, but I think it's forcing us to tap into that we have. It's like a muscle. We haven't really had to use that muscle over the years, to Laurence's point. Like, we didn't grow up that way. We trusted what was put in front of us. We had encyclopedia books. When we got the internet, we had encyclopedia on the internet. Like, things were just true. And I've over time that changed, but today it's hard. So I think it's something that's always been within us. I think it is an intuitive thing. I think it is. I do believe that I used this word earlier. I do believe that there are some people in this world that do have a gift of discernment. And I think it is forcing us to exercise that muscle more and make it stronger.
I agree. Yeah, I agree
Andrea,
100%.
Susan said intuition.
I know. She did.
Not sure why that's surprising, but
It was the marketing language we were having. Like,
yeah, you guys have an inside joke. Got it. But yeah, it's such a good question, Andrea. Of is it going to be? I mean, it's obviously more necessary now, but is it going to become a? It's like, so you use the word evolution. I'm going to use the word adaptation.
Yeah.
Because we do have a lot of people have this fear around, oh, we're not going to be able to tell the difference soon. Like it's almost here. Like there are some things that we cannot tell the difference, and it was AI generated. And I know that there's a lot of fear around that, and rightfully so. There's a lot of damage that can be done to a lot of people and a lot of politics in the world because of someone creating something false using AI. But to that point of, if we are exercising that muscle, are we adapting to this new world? Is it actually not going to be as big of a deal as people are making it out to be, because we are going to adapt to the new world, the new way that the world is working. There's gonna be signs. There's gonna be ways that we're gonna just know. Kind of like when I was watching videos, like I may not be able to tell technically and visually if this is real or fake, but is this actually how someone would be behaving in this situation? And if not, I'm probably just going to dismiss it.
Yeah.
Or is this, and I know that's not everybody. There's a lot of people in this world that are just going to believe whatever is in front of them. And so maybe that's what we all need to be fearful about.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think you can wake up everybody.
No.
And I don't think that's the mission. I don't think that's the job. We only need about 15% of the population to be awake for it to be balanced.
Yeah. Yep. Well said.
And it's getting it from the head to the body. This is the noise, this is the signal. The body always knows. You can tune into your body, you can stop and listen.
Yep.
And then your body, the part that comes from the body is the part that's always true. The part that then goes up into your head, you twist it around and then go back to the body. That's not false. That's false. That's false information. But when you feel it in the body first, and in order to do that, you have to quieten the mind. You have to give it space. Walking in nature, as I know you do.
Yes. Yep. Every day. Yeah. Okay. Rapid fire.
Yeah, I was going to say, before this has been awesome, and we're so grateful that you have been on with us, Laurence, as our first guest on We Are Human. It's been
good fun.
Perfect pick. But we have like some rapid fire questions, and they may not be as rapid as we think they are. So if you have to think about your answers, that's totally fine. But just some questions that we're just to kind of like satisfy our curiosity. Okay, so. Well, we've been definitely, the theme of our episodes so far we even had one specifically where Andrea and I talked about things that we're doing in our personal life where we're using AI to help us. But this question's a little bit like that. What do you do in your life that you make sure that you do because it allows you to kind of like come back and ground yourself in what's real around you and helps you to be human?
Yeah. Well, I suppose there are multiple things. Some things are healthier than others. So on both ends of the spectrum, I go and do sport. I do CrossFit. I do umpiring for my son's hockey. And on the other end of the spectrum, we go to the pub. But in
That's the one I know about.
In both instances, it's about the people. And I love both communities, and they're totally different. The CrossFit community is young, and I'm one of the older ones, and they're all very fit and beautiful people. And then the other group are the pub people, and they're beautiful people for a completely different reason. They are wonderful communities. And it was Heidi's birthday just the other day, and I sent a little message out to the 14 people, the 7 couples that we go to the pub with, and they all turned up, even though it's dry January. They all turned up. They all brought a flower or flowers or cards or chocolates or candles or something. And she went, "Oh, well, how did they know to come to?" And I went, "Oh, well, I just put a little note out." And she went, "Oh, that was so nice of them, wasn't it?" But it's a community, and that you cannot, that feeling that she had, that she meant something, that she's, obviously she's means something to 80,000 people, but when it's your own community, when it's your own people in that group, she's Heidi. She's not this superstar. She's Heidi. They don't even know what she does. They don't even know that she's an author or anything, because that's not what that community is about. It's not, "Oh, what do you do for your job?" And what do you do? None of that. It's just there, you're Heidi. And then for me with CrossFit, I love my CrossFit people. I mean, obviously anyone who's into CrossFit or any of that kind of sport. So I do that. I do those things. And that's the only time that I don't think about work. When I'm sweating and lying on the floor, I don't think about work. I go in, come out and go, "Well, that's nice. I haven't thought about work for an hour." That's the best thing. And I may make friends with the people there. We've got so many friends that we've made through both communities. It's great. So I think that's going to be happening more in the future. It's those experiences. And you cannot get that from technology. You can't get it. You have to unplug. You have to go and see people. You have to touch people and hug them. I'm a big hugger. So I'm always going to CrossFit and hugging somebody, and the coach is stood there going, "How does he know that guy or that girl well enough to hug them?"
And you're like, "I don't. I just hug everybody."
Yeah, I hug everybody.
Yep. Bring it on in.
Oh, those are great. Andrea, do you want to ask the other
Yeah.
question?
Last rapid fire question. And that is, if, think of, you're going to make a little message and you're going to put it in a bottle and you're going to cast it out to sea for, someone else in many years to maybe pick up at this really interesting time where AI is coming onto the scene and we are fighting for defining what is humanness. What would be your message in that bottle to someone of like, take note or remember when or something along those lines?
I can't think of anything clever to say other than be you.
Yeah.
Because if we forget who we are, then we're directionless. But if we remember who we are and what's important to us, and each person is different, that means something completely different to everybody. Stop trying to be, what your parents wanted or what your children need or what your partner wants or anything, what the society or politics. Just be you. Do what makes you happy. Do what makes you smile. And that's what I do every day. I do what makes me smile. And I get to be around incredible people doing incredible things. And when you do that, you don't actually work a day in your life. I mean, I work 60, 70 hours a week, but none of it feels like work. It feels like fun. It is fun. I get to play. Heidi's given me this wonderful gift of being in her business. And I'm grateful every single day because I get to play, and I get to play with people I love playing with. So be yourself is definitely the message from me.
So well said. Yeah. Sage message. I love it.
Last
Amazing.
question. If anyone wants to connect with you, learn more about what you're doing, see what you guys are doing on the business, where should they go to do so?
Definitely go to heidisawyer.com. That's where most of her work is. And if anything I've said about intuition or sensitivity or creativity and activating parts of your internal world that then reflect in your external world, if any of that makes sense to you, and it's not that it makes sense here, it makes sense here, you'll feel it. Because some people have absolutely no interest about that sort of thing. And that's fine. I don't judge. I'm not saying that that's a bad thing or a good thing. But for those who it does make sense with and those who it does resonate with, there is no one better. She is the best in the world. And I truly believe that. And I've had clients who have gone away, tried lots of other places, and they've always come back. We've had We have clients now today who have known Heidi longer than me. They started working with her when she started, and they're still with her today. And she's seen them through all these different stages of life, from probably, I don't know, 45 all the way to 75. You know, she's taken them through all these different journeys. So there isn't anyone who can say that. I've never met anyone who's had that number of clients. And her best friends, she's met when she was 4 and 6. I mean, this is the kind of person that I get to be with every single day and get to call my wife. I'm the luckiest man alive.
So sweet. I love it too.
HeidiSawyer.com. I know you guys keep there's some things on there that if you're listening and you want to just get a little taste, dip your toe in, I know that there's some stuff on there that will allow you to
Her
do
book,
so.
definitely her Hay House book. It's top 0.05% of all books sold on Amazon. And it's been going for 10 years. And I read it often, and I give it to ChatGPT often, and it's ahead of its time. And I think it's coming into its time. And I think the people who identify as an intuitive sensitive are the future. They are the future of humanity. They are the mother trees of our forest.
Yeah, really agree.
Can I just give an opinion on you two? So
Okay.
I'm very, very, very discerning about who I work with. I've supported Heidi's business for more than 20 years, and I've worked with probably 50 to 100 suppliers. And you guys are different. You guys are better than the rest, not just technically and all the practical things, but you mean something to the people who we work with, as in they recognize your value in helping us deliver our message. And that is really important when the client that we're serving sees the value you provide us. I think that's really important. And when I found you on YouTube, I went from 0 to 100 in one video because you called it journey crafting. Now, I know that word or that phrase has been difficult for you in terms of getting people to understand it. But as soon as I heard it, it hit me here. And I went, somebody who can articulate the journey in a 2-word phrase understands the journey. There are so few people who understand the journey. There are just so many people who go, oh, we need customer journey mapping. And no, they don't understand it. They don't understand the human psychology and the behavior that people pass through, and the perfect path and the what if they don't path and bring them back. No one gets it. You get it. And that is the key to what will be our longevity and our success and our return on investment in multiples, is because you care enough to care and you deliver on what you care. So thank you very much for what you do for us. And that's why I've done this session. It's been for you. And I hope that you get to find other people like me, because I'd love to meet them.
Yes. I love it. I love when our clients get to meet each other. And yes, thank you, Laurence, for your kind words. I absolutely love working with you and Heidi. You guys are just absolutely amazing people, and what you're bringing to the world is so needed. So it's an honor to be a part of that journey.
Well, Laurence, thank you so much for joining us and just honoring us by being the first guest on the show. It's been a pleasure. And to everyone listening, make sure that you listen to the other episodes, subscribe, leave a review, whatever we can do to help people find this podcast, because we're on a mission. We're creating a movement where we are talking about things that not many people want to dive into and talk about. And then our final words are stay human and stay connected. We'll see you later.